Okay, sound check. There we go. Good morning. Okay, sound check. There we go. All right. I've been doing this 18 years and I still don't get it right every time. What I did is I rebooted and it kicked my mic out. So this is what I'm going to do about all that. Hold on. First of all, I'm going to kill this stupid thing that's Calendly. And I'm going to do this. Okay, hey, good morning. It's Spence. The show just started over. I'm glad. Thank you, by the way, for helping me out, guys, because I got off on a roll. Normally, I do my sound check. I'm just one dude here in my very, very nicely lit with lots of windows living room office. Can you guys hear me okay? Because today I was about to say a couple things, but let's make sure. Hello. You guys hear me? All right, good. Number one. Very excited. I'm ice packed up. It's a gorgeous day. I am going to talk about a subject that is about 20 years in the making. And I also wanted to say shout out to my, I have three sons, 23, 20, and 13. My youngest son, Zachary's teacher, may be listening in today or watching in today. I wanted to give a shout out to Zachary's social studies teacher. High five. Secondly, I wanted to talk about this is the year, 2024 is the year that WordPress is evolving into what I'm going to suggest to you is a platform or can be a platform. And you're going to see a real battle of the titans. And I don't want to put any of these folks into a category of good versus evil, but there is a certain difference of mindset. And I want to frame what I'm going to show you today in that context because I feel like it is super duper important. And let me emphasize this a little bit more. Okay, so here's the setup for today. WordPress, I started in about 2006. And Jeff says, watching Trump on another window, and they don't have sound either. Yes. I couldn't be more to the more liberal side of that conversation, but I'll get into that. I was just about to say, WordPress has a lot of fine folks. Do not make me do this. We have gone from a community where nobody thought we were going to be where we are today to really running almost half of the internet. And if you make your livelihood using the tools of WordPress, whether you create the tools themselves, whether you have things for your business that runs on WordPress, or whether you are what I like to call an agency / implementer, 2024, mark it in your calendar, is the year that things changed in WordPress because there are so many things that are evolving at three places that you will really have to choose which way you want to go in order to avoid looking like that person who was on the front of WP Launchify that I love to bring up. This photo I love because it really represents most of my client base. If you want to avoid looking like this very confused, very smart entrepreneur, you're going to have to choose which side or which path you want to take. And here's how it goes down. Number one is you want to go the traditional route, which is WordPress is a flea market where the core itself is constantly, and I mean daily, changing. And you buy all your parts on your own and you make it your life's work, like I have, to keep up with all of the nonsense every day that's keeping everything in flux. Now, I would liken this to being in the business of running a restaurant where all of your ingredients suppliers and the people who make your appliances and the vendors of all the various things like deliveries and pickups and boxes, everybody is constantly changing all of their things. So every day you have to wake up and be on top of what changed while you were sleeping in order to keep making the things that you sell for your clients. Scrolling that ball up the hill, I assure you. Choice two. You just pay somebody you don't know to do a bunch of stuff and hope they do the best. And that includes third-party SaaS companies. And you basically do like that picture shows. You piece together a Frankenstein monster of various people who don't know what the other people are doing. And they're still basically using the same stuff that I just described that you would have to get. In other words, the core of WordPress changes. The plugins are changing. The themes are changing. All the while, there's some very powerful forces in the industry who are trying to gather up as many people as they can into essentially an all-in-one situation. But they're doing it with what I'm going to suggest to you is the same sort of corporate greed with the G, that happens in a lot of businesses like we see now in the video industry with, Prime and Netflix and Hulu and Disney and all these movie companies. They promise the world, if you just pay you a monthly subscription, commercial free and all the movies and all the TV shows you want, blah, blah, blah. Once they get everybody in there, they go, well, since you committed and we got you in here, let's see what we're going to do about that. Choice three. Choice three. And I don't claim to be Robin Hood and I don't claim to be Don Quixote, but I do represent, and I've spent the last 18 to 20 years demonstrating. I learned from my grandfather, Max Forman. The most important thing in the world is a human being, and I mean a spiritual being having a human existence, is your name and reputation and how you treat other people. And what you do in this life is going to be measured at the end by yourself when you review it, in my opinion and my belief. And so while I'm here, I live by what I'm going to call the golden rule, but with a capitalist mindset, which is to say, I feel that WordPress, and there are many others with me on this, should be delivered with the same spirit that it was created under the open source GPL. The software, the code is free. The fact that we've gotten as far as we have is incredible. The opportunity we have now is to make a platform based on the very same principles that WordPress was founded upon, without one company or big companies coming in and turning everybody into, let's just call it what it is, like victims of choosing, victims of trusting. Because this name, this face is going to continue to be something that you are going to see in the WordPress space, but now representing a much larger group of entities or people who believe, as I do, that there needs to be the humanity, the personal support, the promise, the trust, because we're living in a world where now AI especially has made things really incredibly fast. Things can be developed and changed, and man, it's just not so. Everybody needs a trusted human being in the middle. And this trusted human being is going to show you how WordPress is being reinvented in a way that many of you are already familiar with, but the interface and the other tools make it that you now, as a human being, can take what I'm going to show you and you can extend your business capabilities to other human beings. So the takeaway for all of this is you can continue to try to do what I do. God bless you. Good luck. Keep up with all the nuts that's going on in the underlying pieces. You could go ahead and continue as you have been. Good luck with that. I had 3 or 4 calls yesterday of really smart people that were like $60,000 into the hole of a bunch of people they don't really know or trust, who did not much more than push a few bad buttons, and they regretted it. The third choice is what I'm going to show you now, which is, what if WordPress was a service with trusted human beings who really are selling you only the relationship, but also all the things that go with it? Let's do this. Many of you know that, as I was showing you before, and I'm going to switch to this mode, I think, WP Launch has successfully, for the better part of 2024 and into 2023, of course, but we've been calling this Launch Kit. Now, I'm not going to make my public announcement yet of what this is going to be rebranded as part of this larger collaboration of powerful entities in the WordPress space. But we've demonstrated a couple things. The number one, the thing that people need and want is the human concierge relationship. So the unlimited email consultation, the free recipes, the free documentation, the how do all of these things work as a system as compared with buying random parts. And this mainly comes into play because of the fact that otherwise, when you buy parts, each of the parts vendors is like, I don't know who the hell you are or what you're talking about or what you need. So I'm just going to talk about my thing. It's also very difficult because the cost structure you can spend on software, which is supposed to be free here, $3,000-4,000 with a bunch of licenses that really don't give you any more knowledge of what you're supposed to do. They just, for the convenience of the updates and presumably for support, but these people who are supporting you don't really support you. They're really just essentially, they're just saying, is something broken with my part? And then finally, the hosting is an interesting part, because today I'm going to show you on that. We started the idea that when you have a solution that acts as a service, either that you've made or that you take from us, having it like ready to go in the freezer is a really wonderful way to do business, because many of your customers and clients, or maybe the business ideas that you want to implement, are things that are pre-baked into what I'll call a pattern or a package. Wouldn't it be cool if that was just something that was available to you to use, or that you took from what was already off the shelf, curated it a little farther, and made it for your customers, something you could give or sell or share or do, because they're going to be paying you for your personal knowledge, your personal attention. Okay. Those three value propositions have proven immensely popular. I cannot be more pleased with how you guys, as my clients and customers, have been responding to what I'm selling this year. And we've been selling them in three formats. There's the Launch Kit to Go, which is the software only, because many of you are experienced enough. You just want the convenience of what I'm going to show you, the automatic software, the updates curated for you. It includes, for many of you, the option of having the full Launch Kit, which is $97 a month, with ownership and control of everything that is comparable to the best platforms in the world, but with all of the WordPress underneath it. Or for your clients, I have many of you who have multiple client sites where you add in the $60 a month or something for an additional client. So you can see here, like $60 a month. So 47, 60, 97, leave anytime, keep all of your stuff. All of the extras and included tchotchkes make this a huge value on top of either concierge support, the hosting part, or the software. Let's talk about the new version. The new version of this is available today. I'm going to launch it probably this weekend, but like, it's available today. Launch Kit comes in the form of a plugin. So when you go to add a new plugin, you will be able to put this immediately onto any host. Now, you're not going to find this new version I'm showing you when you download this old version of Launch Kit, but it's going to show up here as soon as I update it. When you install the plugin, it just shows up as a plugin, and now you will get a dashboard. Here is where WordPress Reinvented comes in. Number one, why go out to the flea market and buy a bunch of stuff and have to start from scratch with like random chance? Why not have one cost, either 47 a month, 60 a month, 97 a month, that has everything you need ready to install with a click or two? So with Launch Kit, we start with the utilities. The utilities are the things that make it easier to run a WordPress site as an implementer, as an agency owner. And I'm going to go to this mode. What does that mean? It means, for example, if you want to set everything up and install your software for your clients, you don't necessarily want to show them that stuff. Why not just allow you to hide that white label from the menu, right? So for example, we've implemented a white label feature. You'll notice Launch Kit disappears from the menu here. I'm actually going to go into this mode. That looks good. This is something that you can always get back to simply by using page equals WPLK. So most of your clients won't know, won't care, but they will no longer see the options that you're going to be able to see. This is just a super easy, convenient benefit to you as an implementer, because you can do what you want to do without your client figuring it out. Now, we may add some additional capabilities in there, like the ability to lock it down, but for now, it's just a basic way of you getting what you need. Next, all those scary emails that come out that say like, your plugins are out of date, the sky is falling, the theme is doing this, blah, blah, blah. You don't want those necessarily to be sent to your customers, but at the same time, adding more plugins and more complexity, why not just check a box? Disables all of those options. Another utility that we put in here is something that has to do with certain plugins or wizards. Now, wizards are the things that when you install with Launch Kit or anything else, take you away from what you were focused on. WooCommerce is the biggest offender, but even things like Foo events do this. So we can disable all the wizards here. Let me give you an example of this. If I were to go in here and just install traditional way, WooCommerce or another plugin, I have to go get the plugin either by uploading it, or I'll go to the repository here and watch the nonsense that happens. I install WooCommerce and two bad things now happen. Number one, when I activate it, the wizard is going to, after I refresh this page with another button, take me away from the whole experience. Watch. First of all, they're sort of a little bit losing their minds at WordPress core, because now they've disabled the Ajax, but now you have to click another button to see what happens next. And when you do, or your client does, watch what bad things happen. Takes you away from where you were, which was I want to set up and install my plugins. And now we're into this guided setup. But they violate common sense, because even when I click on skip guide, guess what? It didn't take me back to where I was. I'm locked in jail, and a normal person does not know what to do next, because a normal person doesn't know that they can remove some things in the URL string and go backwards. This is a nightmare for anybody who is servicing clients, because they've essentially locked your client into a prison cell and the client doesn't know what to do. Okay? Nonsense. So let's try it the new way with the Launch Kit free tools. This isn't what it does primarily, but these are the things that you will set up for free that make WordPress reinvented like it used to be. Let's go to Launch Kit and let's turn on Disable Activation Wizard. Now let's try the WooCommerce experience. We're going to go to plugins. Let's delete the plugin just to give it a fresh start. Add the new plugin. Now, you're going to install this through another method, of course, using Launch Kit. But even if you do manual, traditional way, watch the difference in the experience. I click install, and guess what happens? I'm installing the plugin, and that's it. I activate it, and that's it. And now, when I go back to my installed plugins, I'm done. There's no more taking me off to Wizard World. And this is true for other plugins as well. Almost half of the plugins now have their own view of what they think the customer experience should be, which is absolute bullshit. It's bullshit. I am in the plugin installer of the framework. You, as the software author, have no concept of what I want to do with things. It is wrong in a world of 80,000 plugins for you to assume that I should, because I'm using your butter or your flour or your salt or your vanilla, that you understand what recipe I'm making with it and you take me away from the mixing bowl. You should not do that. So Launch Kit solves that problem in particular. We also do this with certain plugins that we love, like LearnDash, but like their license management disabler, or the license management disabler is what we put in here. So for example, with LearnDash, I don't know why they do this, but it spawns a plugin called the license management plugin, which we do not need, we do not want. We're not using their license management, which is, again, confusing as hell to your clients. This gets rid of that plugin being spawned and created. Plugin manager dependencies. This one is a real sore spot and an example of something we solve. As of version 6.5 of WordPress, this is what I was just describing to you. Every day they keep breaking more stuff for their own view of what WordPress is going to be for automatic rather than what we've been doing for 20 years. Dependencies break the default behavior of the plugin installer. That means that when you've installed certain plugins that have dependencies, you can no longer delete them or deactivate them or bulk deactivate them, which is also complete nonsense. So for example, let's add, if we want, let's add manually, the old fashioned way, something like the Stripe gateway for WooCommerce. And I'm going to show you the primary thing that we use with our installer, but like just on these free tools alone, see these notices here, like additional plugins are required. This is something called dependencies. This is essentially WordPress core developers deciding after 20 years that even though I've been riding a Harley Davidson for 20 years, that I need training wheels to break everything I know how to do with this plugin button, with the activation, with all of this stuff. And any of you who are agency owners or implementers know already what nutso stuff this is. Now look what I've got. Required by WooCommerce Stripe Gateway. This plugin cannot be deactivated or deleted until the plugins that require it are deactivated or deleted. Notice the button is grayed out. I cannot remove it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If I have 5 or 10 or 15 different things that run on WooCommerce, I have to deactivate 15 things just to be able to deactivate WooCommerce, even though I've been building WordPress sites for 20 years. Are you kidding me? Well, problem solved. Just choose this one here, and you're back to the real world of pre 6.5. because I'm a big boy, you're a big boy or big girl, and you can do whatever you want to do. So now, oh, magically, watch what happens. I'm going to, oh, fear, fear, fear. Oh, guess what? Just like for the last 19 plus years, I deactivated a plugin because I know what I'm doing, and the sky did not fall Chicken Little. And I can deactivate or delete anything I want, just like I used to be able to. Hallelujah. Why did they need to focus on this? Right now, I have absolutely no idea, since there's about 250,000 other things that they could be focusing on. Problem solved. And then finally, when you start using a bunch of plugins, you're going to get a ton of notices in the top of the dashboard that can be, quite frankly, maddening. These happen at the top whenever you install a plugin. Like, let's install a plugin that, we're going to do this with the installer, but let's install a plugin that I know will install some shenanigans at the top. I love this plugin, but it's going to install some shenanigans, I think, at the top. First of all, it's also going to do something that I'm going to show you in a second. When I refresh the page, because I have to click the button, it's going to, oh, actually, it's interesting. That one didn't install some shenanigans. Let's install something that's, let's do launch flows even, because I know launch flows, my own plugin has a notice at the top. So let's add launch flows in. And I'm going to do this still the manual way, because I'm saving the installer till the very end. So I'm going to upload traditional way. I think I probably have a version of launch flows here on my desktop somewhere. Maybe. Maybe we got something in here. Hold on. Here we go. So I'm going to install launch flows just to show you an example of simple hide notices, because this is an essential part of running a WordPress site as well. Okay. Now see these notices at the top. Imagine some of the companies put this incredible, like, I mean, incredible. I think WooCommerce actually does it itself. Incredible amount of stuff at the top that is just mind blowing. Wouldn't it be neat if we could just hide that? Well, okay. So here's the tool. If we go to Launch Kit, we just simply activate the hide admin notices. And in doing so, we now, if we save that, we now will have the ability to just simply hide that with a click at the top. So, and let's do this too. Let's do one thing. Let's deactivate that. All I need to do is click that button at the top. And you see, I don't know if you can see it because it's kind of zoomed out a lot, but like I'll zoom in a bit. Let's see if I can do a zoom in. See that gigantic, oop, too much. See this thing here, notice is hidden. So it's really, really magically simple. It's so lightweight. It's about 5 lines of code that essentially just allows me to hide any notices at the top of any pages. And when I do, it puts a little red exclamation point on it to let me know there's something under there. All right, let's now go on to step 2. Now that I've shown you that we can manage our own sites like we want, like big boys and girls, and we can also do it in a way that allows us to provide the experience we want for our customers. What about the software and the themes? Why should you guys be forced to go out and buy everything with 22 different subscriptions to 22 different companies that you met at some flea market that all are pointing the fingers at everybody else? When you go to a SaaS platform, a ClickFunnels, a Kajabi, a Kartra, a CRM like Salesforce, HubSpot, and so forth, they just provide you the software. Like, they don't give you choices of having to go out and buy stuff from other vendors and put it in. I mean, that might be an extra, but like the basis is you pay them a little amount of money every month and you get everything you want. But in this case, you own it, you control it, you have a trusted concierge. So let's see what that experience is like in the new version of the Launch Kit installer. There's 2 parts to this. When you go to Launch Kit, as I showed you, for free, you are going to have these utilities because everybody should have that. But the installer is premium stuff, all organized. It's part of your WP Launchify subscription. So if you're already a member here and you've already got a login, and you can already go to your My Account here and so forth. Why is it that you should have to pay more money? Why should you have to? I mean, this is My Account. Why should you have to pay more money to other people? Why is it you should have to go get a million license keys? Why do you have to do that for every client? That is ridiculous. It's a pain in the caboose. Why not just log in here to your LaunchKit plugin on any host, and be able to instantly get the satisfaction you need, which is to access whatever you're entitled to of the software, the pre-made packages, and more. That's the delivery mechanism. Instead of license keys till you're blue in the face, let's log in under this test account. And here's the new LaunchKit installer. Now there's a couple components here. Number one, everything that I do and teach lately is based upon a premise that yes, you could use other stuff, but if you use the same IKEA furniture, like I've got my here, if you use the same theme of Cadence and Cadence blocks and Cadence other stuff, at least you can use all of the free patterns and other stuff that myself and the community are making. And yes, if you want to change out your theme, change out your theme. But let's just start with the same stuff so you're not trying to figure out what's broken. Plus, you save a bunch of time because like with IKEA and Legos and buying a car ready to drive, it's just much easier than trying to like, oh, everything's the same except I changed two things. And those two things are definitely what are always going to break stuff for you. So number one, Cadence theme done, installed. Two, let's install the tool Prime Mover for free, but in a curated way that gives you automatically a bypass of that nonsense that is freemius so that you can just start managing your packages. And what are packages? Packages are snapshots of pre-made things that have the hard stuff already figured out for you. There will be an extensive library of stuff, starting with just the basics of like, hey, all the WooCommerce settings set up, along with the automations of Fluent CRM and Launchflow sales funnel for doing most businesses. But we can have 100 different pre-made packages. And here's the best part. You can make your own packages using LaunchKit for things that you do very often, and then save them, share them, sell them, and they can be uploaded to this library of a client as quickly as just putting in the package URL. Could not be any easier. Okay, let's see what I mean. Here's 3 sample packages. I can upload any of those packages just by clicking upload. And when I do, I can view what's been installed. So here it is. And all I have to do is click this button that says restore package. And immediately I will get the whole site set up with all the ingredients of the plugins and everything else as it should be. So you can literally have a full solution ready to tweak, modify, or use on a client from a new server in a minute. Think of it as a minute launch. I can do this for more because there will be a full library here. Let's install the second package. Let's install the third package. Any of these are immediately available to use to restore. And you can even download it. So for example, I was explaining to you like how let's download package 3 here. Let's pretend that we're using the installer, but I'm going to use the package URL. So like, we have to get this from a URL of something else. So let me get a URL of the place where I've uploaded, or even better, let's just add it here to our own media library if we want, right? Well, let me actually get you a URL, and I'll show you this one here. Hold on. I've got it on my test server here. The idea for this with the upload is that you're going to have something that you're going to store or sell on your own site, right? So you're going to host it on your own media library is a plugin or whatever it may be. So here's a URL. Let me get the link. Okay. So let's say I've sold somebody a package or given this out. I click upload. It uploads it. And now I should have a package called 01024 Rocket Prime. Done. This is your distribution channel for things that you make. Now, what is the packages or what are those? Well, this tool, Prime Mover, allows you to take what Go High Level and other companies called snapshots. Like you set up the automations, you set up the membership, you set up the theme, you set up the colors, you set up everything you want, or even for yourself as a backup. And you say, I would love to keep a library of this or sell this for other people to use immediately. you basically just go to migration tools, and this is built in from the day one. You say export, and you can decide what you want to do. Typically, I will only export the database and the media files, or just the database. And in doing so, it's a very small file in single site format. And when you export this, this just makes a package locally, maybe depending on what you're doing, takes maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And now you've got something that you can move to another location as long as the ingredients are built with the same stuff in the launch kit fridge. There's no chance of anybody having broken stuff. There's no chance of anything not working. And that's how the patterns come into play, because if you build it with the same theme and the same blocks and the same patterns and the same everything, everybody is using the same stuff. Just like when you go over to IKEA, I bought that cabinet when my kids were babies. I could go there today and there's still accessories that work with that IKEA stuff. Or if I go to the Lego store, or I drive a classic, well, I have a few of them, but a few classic Mercedes-Benz cars. I love them, the mid-2000s. I can find parts for any car in the mid-2000s anywhere because the parts are ubiquitous. It's not like random what was installed on those. They were built with specific known parts, okay? So this is a big part of the entire process. Let's go back over to LaunchKit. The installer itself, once we've got everything here, the cadence is installed, we've got Prime Mover, we've got packages that we may or may not use. You don't have to use a package, by the way. You could just install plugins. Now, what's the typical plugin installation experience? It's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? Because what I just showed you, the WordPress has just broken all of the tools that used to exist. But if you buy a pro plugin, you have to first download it from a third-party site that you have to log into. Then you have to go get your key. Then you have to register the plugin, install the key. Then you have to keep it updated. And I want to tell you, this plugin installer is not fast. If you go to the normal plugin installer, let's just install a pro plugin manually. I choose the file. In the old-fashioned way, you can only do one at a time. I click on it. Now, imagine you have 88 plugins. Click, install. Okay, here we go. Activate plugin. Now, multiply that times 88. I'm not saying that, it's as slow as deleting, but it's still pretty chunky, okay? Notice at least I've got the tools back to the way they should be so that I don't have to worry about like dependencies. Let's look at the LaunchKit installer. The installer makes it that you've got all the plugins you need from the WP Launchify software bundle, which again, you can also get it here. You can either download the whole package manually and use all the software on any of your sites because they are open source. You are not paying for the software. You're paying for if you use the service or the convenience of the automatic updates from the vendor. In this case, you're getting them from WP Launchify as your agency, as your intermediary, as your concierge in the Four Seasons Hotel. Here, I can selectively install any plugin just by clicking. Do you notice how fast this is? This is the world you want to live in. Even better, when you click install selected, watch this. Done. I just installed 88 plugins. Now, it does not activate them because you're big boys and girls. You should decide what you want to activate. Or maybe the package you have will activate it. But now I have everything I need updated. And if there are some things that need updating in the package, that will happen at our end because the installer will tell you the last time that it was updated as a package. So look here, last updated May 31st at 9:45 a.m. You can check for new updates. So if there's something in there that doesn't look like it was hit, typically, hello, Elsa, we update on Fridays. If there's another reason to do so, we will update more times per the week. But unless there's a real emergency, most of the time, Fridays is enough. So you at least know when the latest updates and packages happen. Now, let's talk about the deleter. If you want to use the settings here that restore the dashboard to pre 6.5, the WordPress plugin deleter, bulk deleter is pretty good. But I got to be honest with you, it's really a dog as far as speed. So for example, if I were to either select multiple plugins or if I did all of them and I use this deleter that was still good, watch the speed I mean, just this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not bad. Affiliate WP always causes some kind of headache and heartache, and that breaks. So that actually breaks it. And then and there you go. And then you end up breaking the site in some cases. Let's compare that to what LaunchKit bulk deleter does. Now, you have to be careful with this, but let's say you're a big boy and girl who's an agency owner and I want to make your life really easy. Wouldn't it be cool if you just selected which things to delete, and we'll do this the same way, or you could select all, okay? And notice one of the things that I'm not doing here is I'm not going to delete LaunchKit. It's not one of the options. But if I click delete here, it gives you a quick menu, yes, no, last chance. And when you do, click to refresh, done. Now I'm going to do this with all of them to be even more dramatic. Delete plugins, yes, no, refresh. And then I got to go back over here. I've unfortunately, I did do one thing. I just deleted the actual thing I was using to show the page. So let me go back over here. And let's talk about now. There we go. Let's talk about now. If I start it over. I do this without a net, so sometimes I even step on my own foot here. Hang in there, kids. I have the plugin ready, but I moved it before the event, so I have office hours. There it is. Let me just reinstall it. I was about to say, and I prevented it from deleting LaunchKit, but then I actually ended up deleting LaunchKit. So now we're back. Next, let's go back into the live thing. The final thing about this is that you can also get the plugins themselves. So if you click on any of these, let's say you needed the plugins for some other reason manually, this is actually clicking and downloading them. I don't know if you can see in the upper right corner. All right. The deleter itself is something that may or may not be super useful, but what I love about it is it's super fast. But you just saw a reason why. It comes with some cautions, but not one that you can't manage. Let's talk about licensing. Now, there's nothing that you need to use licenses for when you're not using the software directly from the original vendor. In other words, the vendor can make deals with whomever they want to distribute their software, but the software being open source can be used by anyone for any purpose. There are some services that require a relationship, an agency relationship. One of them, for example, is like the Cadence starter templates or the Cadence Pro blocks or Pro theme. We love Cadence. We have a good relationship with them. Why should it be hard for you if you're using our agency license or otherwise to install it for yourself or your clients? So what we've done is this. Let's go ahead and put in all of the plugins again. And let me show you how the experience can be simplified for you as an agency owner, whether you have your own Cadence licenses or whether you use ours as part of your LaunchKit subscription. So I've got the plugins installed, and let's activate Cadence, at least to show you this part. So we got Cadence Blocks Pro, and that's it. The starter templates too. All right. So first of all, we're just going to activate those so they're in place. And then in LaunchKit, we have the ability to automatically use the license that we provide for you. Notice it says LaunchKit key is installed and activated. If you are logged in, you will automatically have that apply because of your membership with us. You're using our agency key without having to do anything. If you log out, you won't have that. If you log back in again, it will essentially say your key is valid. Now, let's say you have your own key. You click here and type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Obviously, that's not a valid key. You can save it though, and it will tell you that your key has been saved. But what you'll notice is under the notices hidden, it will tell you typically, Cadence Blocks Pro is not activated. Let's go then and revert back with one button to using the default key that comes from us as part of your license. Ta-da! we've just saved you the misery of having to go in 3 or 4 or 5 different places for every single client and install to install your own keys. We've talked about the packages. We've talked about the remote packages. The documentation. The documentation is already available and we're working on this, but the idea is that this should be curated, and it is, towards the idea of the stack of stuff, the system itself, instead of the parts. When you buy a Mercedes, there's a user manual in the glove box and an online website about using your new Mercedes. It doesn't come with a bunch of loose leaf binders of random documentation about random parts that were put into the car by Mercedes, because that would be ridiculous. Similarly, the video training, the content that I produce, the office hours, the freebies, the tchotchkes, the accessories, the relationships, the one-step guides, since everyone is going to be using the same kit and the same stuff, and the cost is minimal, like $47 a month versus $4,000 a year, and then whatever it takes you to build stuff, we're going to see thousands upon thousands of our existing customers, we believe, converting over to using this as the way to deal with WordPress, and also to continue, and this is the important part, to have a buffer in between. Now, I would love to reveal to you who the new partnership involves, but let's just say when the new partnership launches, it's the exact same thing you've got here. It'll have a slightly different name. It will be backed up by over 100 people. And we have access to over 850,000 clients at the moment who are already familiar with WordPress and have demonstrated an understanding of the frustrations that we're trying to solve with this. So this is sort of like the ultimate peanut butter and chocolate. Spence and the 20-year history of what I do, combined with a team of over 100, to essentially say WordPress needs a service delivery. It needs you pay a couple bucks, you have the van show up with everything you need. WordPress can be used by you for yourself or for your clients, and it can be used unlimited. So this is another thing that I can't tell you how important this is to the business model. Instead of you paying for every single license and all this crazy stuff, this is an unlimited model. If you go to WP Launchify right now, you can see us in action with the current launch kit. Why should you, as one person who has access to the free software, be paying every time you install to a client site? That is as old as me paying for text messages every time I text message. Nonsense. So, launch kit unlimited. Launch kit clients. You do pay if you want to host a client. So the 60 bucks is really for the hosting and for the support of the client directly. But otherwise, launch kit to go, 47 just the software. You can use the software on either of these 3 options everywhere and anywhere. Because as I just showed you, you already have access to download it. Like the cost of entry, even at 47 a month, is all the software. The convenience of using it is logging in and using it that way. So if you want to do that, why should we stop you? What we're selling is the relationship, the support, the things that go along with the community. And if you are one person and you want the convenience of us managing your hosting relationship, fantastic. Pay the extra 60 bucks per client, mark it up to 97, 147, whatever, make a profit on it, do no extra work. We got you covered. But if you're just using it on sites you've already got hosting for, just put the software on multiple sites. No problem. You'll log in with the same account. Here is a way to get to various things that this will get you signed up for the newsletter or for the demonstrations. Like we're going to have instant demos so that you can use for yourself or your customers to show this. The plugins themselves are awesome, but it would be easier if you could just demo the packages, right? Click a button, boom, there's the membership package. And I was commenting on another forum yesterday, like Pump Face, because we've been doing this now for 15 years, maybe 10 years in this format, definitely the last 3 years in this format. It's like Submedia WordPress is now suddenly talking about like, oh, we should be making these things. And I'm like, yeah, duh. Like, the idea of taking the TV dinner out of the freezer has been something I've been doing since 1WD-TV has been created, because it's easier to run your business that way instead of reinventing the wheel every time. And then finally, these are some placeholders, but like featured partners. what we envision happening is that the hosting companies, smaller developers, people who have even larger companies will want to be participatory and offer their new products or services as part of the launch kit. And in doing so, we can make those like, as updates happen, like a billboard of stuff that you can try out. And you'll get those things for either free or for some significant no-brainer price. The idea would be that they're for free because they're really trying to show it as a promotional item inside of the context of the kit. So like you bought the handle, here's a new type of razor blade from one of our partners or somebody who wants to get the attention from the audience of people using Launch Kit. And that would include creators, I think, people who are making beautiful layouts, beautiful designs, or maybe you're an awesome marketing automation expert and you want to just simply create a complete business solution with the automation and Fluent CRM, Fluent support, Fluent bookings, launch flows, WP Fusion, and so forth. Why not have that set up and then you can sell that as a ready to go package? So those kinds of opportunities are probably going to be a big part of what we do. All right, I'm going to wrap it up by saying, you may disagree with me, but you will not be able to deny that this is a reality and it's already in progress. And July 5th will be the official larger announcement that will make this, I think, carry a little more water. But you've got the first opportunity to get involved here. There's a button below this video that says Get Launch Kit. I really do encourage everybody to sign up and start participating. This actual version 2 that I showed you will be released, if not today, definitely this weekend. But you can get started for $97 or $47, money back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose, especially on the fact that unlimited email support from me. If you get the 97, you get a full hosted site with rocket.net with a package installed, or you can just get the software bundle and save yourself $4,000 a year. But all of the support comes from somebody who's going to be selling the whole, car, not just the individual part. So I can answer your questions like many people have indicated. That is my forte. The customer support, the personal relationships, the treating you like a human being who is an entrepreneur who has pain. That is the basis of this business. That's the whole point of this business. And I don't want anybody to lose sight of it in a world where these other big companies are trying to get you captured inside of their gilded cage. Good luck getting that kind of personal relationship from a team that could care less about you as a successful entrepreneur. I, on the other hand, that is what I am selling. That is what this bigger business we're trying to do as a platform is selling. Human relationships in a world of endless complexity, automation, and change. I hope that you'll join me at Launch Kit by going to wplaunchify.com. Otherwise, thank you guys. I hope you have an amazing, amazing weekend. It might be the day today that Chris Latham and I have our show at 1 o'clock. We'll see. We're still kind of figuring out the office hours for the summer for our second show, which is about also marketing automation. But if I don't see you there, have an amazing weekend. I'll see you the next time for the office hours here. Bye.